We'll get started. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the May technical event. We've got some fantastic guests to present for us tonight, and they're going to be talking about the local water supplies, including stormwater harvesting being an integral part of the South East Queensland water strategy. So Mary Boydell, Commissioner, and Daniel Spiller, Senior Director, Regional Planning and Policy of Queensland Water Commission, will provide an overview of the strategy, including the process through which the QWC will determine its recommendation for augmentation options. They'll explain the role of stormwater harvesting in the strategy, the drivers to increase the use of stormwater harvesting in South East Queensland, as well as some of the challenges they'll face through that. In addition, they'll explain the investigations that the Commission is involved in and the research that's being undertaken by the Urban Water Security Research Alliance. So I'd like to introduce tonight Mary Boydell. She's a chartered accountant with over 35 years experience in professional services firms, private business and commerce, including more recently as a non-executive director. Currently she is chairman of the Gladstone Area Water Board, a director of Energex Limited and a board member of CSIRO. Up until last year she was a director of the South East Queensland Water Corporation Limited and a member of the Queensland Bulk Water Supply Authority. She recently retired as chairperson of Rural Industries Research and Development Corporation and is a former director of BSES Limited, Austrade and Burnett Water. She has also served as chairman, deputy chairman and member of Queensland Regional Council of the Institute of Chartered Accountants in Australia. Mary also undertakes consulting and advisory roles that are compatible with her portfolio of appointments and has served as an external member of a number of public sector and board audit committees. Our second speaker is Daniel Spiller. He's the principal author of the South East Queensland Water Strategy. He leads the Regional Planning and Policy stream, which is responsible for Commission research and policy regarding stormwater harvesting and local supplies. He's also a member of the Urban Water Security Research Alliance, for which stormwater harvesting is a key focus, and it has recently been acting executive director of the Commission. Daniel is a town planner and economist by trade. He has been at the Commission since 2006, having previously worked for Brisbane City Council, the Queensland Competition Authority and the Office of Urban Management. So please welcome our speakers tonight.
Thank you very much, Belinda, and it's lovely to be here, and I'd like to particularly acknowledge Neville Jones, who invited me to come along, and Neville is a dear friend, and I know he's a stalwart of your association, and I'm delighted to be able to be here with you this evening, and I know Dan is too, so thank you very much, and thank you especially to Neville. I think not being an engineer and spending much of the last 10 years of my working life with engineers, I from time to time marvel at what I say is the big sandpit, and I can remember when we started the construction for the Paradise Dam when I was involved with Burnett Water, and we're looking at this very raw and rough landscape up on the Burnett River, and it's pretty uninteresting country, and I can say that because I come from that part of the world. And I looked at it and I said to one of the other board members who is a leading contractor in this town and someone who's a great friend, I said, you know, it's just boy heaven, because down here is this wonderful landscape, and you know, all of the little dinky toys are running around starting to carve out what turns out to be a dam, and to me it's just a miracle how you guys sort of put things together. But I tell you what, if I reckon every little kid, if they knew there was a Stormwater Industry Association, would join up, because I don't think there's any better experience, and I don't know that kids still do it, than standing in the gutter with the water running help past you and, you know, getting your feet wet and getting into a heap of stripes. So I think, you know, you probably have a whole cache of members out there who would love to join you. But moving on from that, talking about more important things, I'm going to introduce tonight and just give you a very quick overview of the strategy, the South East Queensland Water Strategy and some fundamentals about how, I guess, the institutional framework and the arrangements within which all of these things fit together and work. And then Dan will talk more about the specifics of the opportunities for stormwater harvesting. I think one of the things that at the Water Commission that we're keen to sort of perhaps have more widely understood is the institutional framework within which we operate, and how everything fits together. There are a number of parts that work together, and I'll just quickly take you through that. I guess I like to start any conversation about water with the fairly simple proposition that the community and the customers are entitled to receive from water service providers and those of us involved in the industry and in the policy end a safe, secure, reliable supply of water at an acceptable price. And it's a pretty fundamental proposition, and it's one I think we need to keep absolutely at the forefront of our minds. But we do need to do that within the overarching framework of a few fundamentals of doing no harm. And when I say doing no harm, we want the people who work in our businesses to go home every day not having had any harm. We don't want to cause harm to the environment. We don't want to cause harm to the communities in which we have to go and, you know, put pipes or put big bits of gear and dig up things and so forth. We want ultimately to have the lightest possible footprint and harm on every aspect of where we interact. So within that setting, I think we then look to the way we go about things. I've got a very brief presentation here, and I'll try to skip through it pretty quickly so that we can move on to the more interesting parts. But as you are well aware, we have had considerable institutional reform in reform or change in South East Queensland over the last 4 to 5 years. So I'll give you a brief snapshot of that, talk about the current position with the Queensland, the SEQ water strategy, and some challenges and opportunities, which is then where we lead into Dan's presentation. The context in which the supply of water operates is well understood. I think we do have a number of competing pressures and issues, not the least of which, apart from climate, relate to increasing population and urbanisation, and also the national, particularly the national policy settings around COAG reforms and the National Water Initiative, which are largely directed to reform around pricing and sharing of resources. And something that is pretty important, and I don't know that I understand fully how much it impacts on your particular area of practice in terms of stormwater, but I do understand that largely any infrastructure service provider has to, on a daily basis, be very conscious of the right to operate. That is, the right to put something somewhere where it's going to impact on someone. And that's something that I think, particularly in our long-term planning, we have to be incredibly cognizant of, because we need to preserve, in highly urbanised environments, the access, the corridors, the ability to actually put something somewhere in 10 to 15 years' time when we need it. The framework that I'm just going to skip you through is I'll draw you a little picture, and the first things I've put on the paper, of course, are the outcomes that we're looking for from the water supplies. The